You're listening to Real Talk Texas on 570 KLIF News and Information. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert Steve Hakes.
Thank you for listening to Real Talk Texas. Real Talk Texas is a forum where we bring in real experts into the studio with real advice for our listeners out there. And that's one of the things I really enjoy doing the show for you guys. And I appreciate all of the feedback we're getting from our listeners. We're getting a lot of people contacting us through realtalktexas.com. Also, last week we started using a new technique where we were having you text in some information to the show, and we'll do that again today. And that way we can reach back out to you and provide you with contacts of the real experts that you're looking for. Today, I'm just going to spend an hour here, and I hope that you stay with me the whole show, because I think it's that time of year that everybody sits down and they start thinking about their business plans. If you haven't had to turn one in to your boss, or you haven't sat down with your own business and mapped out what you're going to do in the next 12 months, then you probably are working on that this weekend. So what I wanted to do was kind of rattle your cage a little bit. And this happened to me about 3-4 years ago. I had the first time, and I'm 53 years old, and those of you who have been listening, I think you get the sense of how I feel about my family and what I've done with my career. And a lot of times in your life, you really throw yourself in your career because you feel like you have to. I mean, the pressure's on, and I bet that a lot of you listeners out there right now have been facing that over the last 12 months. Have not been an easy economic time for us. And so I also feel like 2013, it's going to be more of the same. I think that's what you're hearing on national news. Fortunately, here in North Texas, in my business, in the mortgage business, in the real estate market, it is bouncing back, and we feel pretty optimistic about 2013, that it is a great time to buy a home. It's a great time to get a mortgage at the lowest rates out there. It's probably economically the best time to invest in real estate or to purchase your own home and make some good financial moves there. And that's what we do at Affiliated Bank. We really try to make sure that you're getting the right mortgage for you. But that's really not what I wanted to focus on today. Today, I really wanted to share with you something that I do each year and try to do throughout the year. But I also, like I told my oldest son, I said, hey, Scott, I really wish that this would have been taught to me in high school or in college, and not to me at a 48-year-old man who was pretty far along in life with financially and as well as with raising our family. So what happened? I'll tell you the story. So a couple years, 4 years ago, I think it was, I had the opportunity to go to Oregon, and I went to a retreat called Building Champions. Now, you can find them online. It's called Building Champions, and what they are is they're executive coaches. And I've expected to go there, and I've always, any business meeting I've ever been to, it's always been about, hitting your numbers and, making your plans, who are the target accounts, how are you going to grow your business, all those things. And I've always done fairly well with that. To my surprise, the first 2 days we spent talking about ourselves and our life and if we had a plan or not. And it was amazing to me that I had never stopped to really think about, how you live your life and how, if you have a plan for it or not. And I would say that probably 90% of the people I talk to have never heard of a life plan and have never really sat down and written a life plan for themselves. And I really kind of felt put back. I never really realized that I was living my life. I was going to work, and like my brother-in-law says, making the donuts, So, every day, get up, make the donuts. And then next thing you know, you're 53 years old, and a lot of your life has gone by. And so what I wanted to do is really share this experience that I had. So if you want to stay tuned the whole hour, you're listening to Real Talk Texas. I'm Steve Hakes. I'm your host, and I'm a licensed mortgage originator, and I'm also host of the show, and we have a great time doing that, and I appreciate the listeners out there. If you're listening and you would like to get more information about life planning, if you're looking to get a refinance or if you're thinking about buying a house, I would like for you to pick up your cell phone, put in this number, and just send me a quick text. So send me the text that says life plan, and I'll get you a copy of what I use as far as a format to put this whole thing together. And that number is 817-925-2546. That's 817-925-2546. Just send a text to the show here, and we'll get back to you. Last week we had a ton of texts come in. We're still going through all of those and getting back to you. So if you sent us one last weekend, just hang with us. We're going to get you in touch with the people you were looking for. We're getting great response on this. So getting back to life planning and what it is and why you should do it, I guess one of the things you look at is you say, I forget who it was. I was watching the show, and I think it was the old Baltimore Colts coach, and he said, a goal without a plan is a wish. And I think that that's pretty profound, because a lot of people would say, hey, I really want to get out of debt this year. I want to pay all my credit cards off. I'm going to finish this year by paying off my credit card debt. And that's their goal. And that's what they write down. They put it on their mirror, whatever they do. But they don't have a way or a plan or an action plan or some self-disciplines written down to where they'll go actually do those things. And so what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about how to do that. And so if you're listening, you don't have to get a notepad out or anything like that. You can always go online, and Paul will have this show put up on realtalktexas.com by Wednesday of next week. And you'll get a chance. You can listen to it and things like that. You can also just send me a text at 817-925-2546, and we'll email you we'll get your email address, and we'll call you back on that. And we'll send you a worksheet for this. So, okay, why should you have a life plan? Well, number one, nothing gets done without a plan, okay? So, anyway, I'll get back to 4 years ago. I had a chance to go to Portland, Oregon. I went to a Building Champions seminar. It was a week-long deal. So what I'm going to give you over this hour is the Cliff Notes from that trip. But basically what it was like a real eye-opener to me, because one of the things I think we do in our lives is we're so busy that we're just getting up, we're working, go home, go to bed, get up, go to work, all those things, and life just goes by pretty quickly. And one of the things that I do, and I'm going to do again in the next week, is give myself some me time. And I think the only way you can clear your head, turn off the cell phone, turn off the computers, get a notepad out, and go someplace by a lake or something like that and sit down and really think about your life, where you are, give yourself a real assessment of what is going on in your life, where you are today. So let's start with that. So when you start off, you're just going to just make a clear assessment of where am I today and be brutally honest with yourself. So we're going to go to a break. We've got some really good stuff to share with you. I want to tell you that this changed my life at 48 years old. So stay tuned. You're listening to Real Talk Texas. We'll be back after the break.